Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is November 13th, 2021, Saturday morning. I hope everybody's having a good time. I got a nice fire going, keeping me warm. I see Humboldt County might get some sunshine today. That's awesome. Bonnie says it's 71 in Texas. Oh, Bonnie. Sue says 35 with cold wind in Missouri. So I think everybody's got a little bit of weather. I'm sure Hawk is nice and brisk in Iowa. I know here, let me check the temperature real quick in Idaho. Right now it's 40 degrees here. Looks like it might warm up to about 54 here today. So not a terrible day, not too terribly cold. Good morning, Pam. How are you? From Louisiana. So we got people from all over the country. I know Tracy. She's western upstate New York. Lori says 34 here in Ohio. 54 in Louisiana. Yeah, it's still fall. Not quite winter yet. We got snow on the mountaintops here. I don't know. This year, maybe a year, I finally break down and buy a snowmobile. I don't know. All of my buddies have them. They're just so high maintenance. They're a very expensive hobby. When you get a snowmobile, if you ride it like they do around here up on the mountaintops, it's something that you have to maintain. I know a lot of buddies who burn their engines down and have to rebuild them or replace them, and they're constantly trading their snow machines off every couple of years so that they stay within warranties and always have the best of everything. So I don't know if it's a 100+ snow inch here this year in Idaho. I may break down and buy a used one for a couple $1,000 and play around here at the house or out at my parents' house with it a little bit. I don't know. I'm definitely. I mean, toys nowadays are not cheap. You can dump $22,000 in a brand new snow machine really quick. Says 32 shift kicker is 32 degrees in Minnesota, and Carl is 33 degrees in Michigan. Morning, Brian. How are you? I had a Can-Am, and I bought it brand new. I spent $27,000 on it, a 2-seater, 1,000 cc's turbo in it. I put a winch on it, a light bar in it. I put a stereo system in it, and to me, that was worth the money because I could take that thing out all 12 months of the year. They make tracks for those, so you can put tracks on them and stay on trails. I mean, you're not going to just go the places that snowmobiles go, but we have a lot of groomed trails around here. And in Yellowstone, in West Yellowstone, they have hundreds of miles of groomed trails. So I always thought if I was going to buy a machine, that was something I was going to buy because I could pretty much use it for work, going and getting firewood with the winch on it, play on it, have a lot of fun. So that's where I put my money. Well, I had to get rid of that. So now I'm down to just a 4-wheeler. And I thought maybe this winter, if we get a lot of snow, maybe I'll break down and just buy an older snowmobile just so, I can maybe teach Noah how to ride it, my girls how to ride it, play around a little bit, have a little bit of fun here in the wintertime in Idaho. I like to ski. I do a little bit of snowboarding, but I think I need some more lessons. The skiing part, I have bad knees, so I can only do it for so long, and then my knees start locking up on me and I start having problems. My youngest daughter had where they live, they have a ski day every year, and the school allows the kids. They bus them up to the one of the ski resorts here, and they have a ski day. So when she was, I want to say, eighth grade, seventh, eighth grade, maybe, um, she asked me to go on the ski day with them. So I bought some equipment. I went up there with them, and it was her first time skiing, and she'd never been before. So I tried to help her, tried to teach her. The school provided lessons, so I kind of stayed on the bunny hill with her. I had to kind of not relearn, but just shake off all the rust and remember how to turn and stop and do all that stuff on skis. So I stayed with her a minute on the bunny hill, and then next thing you know, once she learned how to ski, she didn't want to hang out with me no more. She wanted to go hang out with her friends, so they all left me. So I decided to go up on one of the ski runs, and I went by myself. I went up there. I got to the top. I started coming down. I was having a good time, and then all of a sudden, my knees started locking up on me really bad, and then I started cramping up real bad. So I laid there in the snow for, I don't know, probably a half hour trying to get through the leg cramps, trying to get my knees to loosen up on me so I could. If you've never skied before, you have to have knees that'll bend. There is no stiff legs when you ski. You got to be able to absorb the shock and to turn and all that stuff. So I finally got down off the hill, and I almost missed the bus back to town because they were already loading up, and my daughter was worried. They couldn't find me, um, because I didn't really tell anybody where I was going. I just took off on one of the ski lifts and went up and skied down. So anyway, that was my last skiing experience. I had a great time with my daughter, even though it was just at the beginning of the day. She I don't know, I just got to spend some time with her, and even though she broke the training wheels off of it and took off with her friends, I still had a good time. I would do it again. Um, maybe this year they'll invite me to go to their ski day this year. My oldest daughter skis. Um, Snowboarding is a whole nother fun activity to do. I've done a little bit of it. One of the last times that I snowboarded, I ended up separating my left shoulder, and it ended my promising basketball career when I was in high school. Um, that really probably was the last time I was on a snowboard. I'm not afraid to get back on one. It's just haven't really had any desire to get back on a snowboard since then. So, it's all about getting out there and creating those memories. And the holidays are coming upon us. Thanksgiving is just around the corner, just a week or so out. What's today? The 13th. So we got 10, 11, 12 days, 14 days, something like that till Thanksgiving. So we're about 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving. Um, one thing that we do here, and I know people do it all over the country, is Thanksgiving Day. They play football, right? Turkey Day, a lot of people get out as a family and they play football in the yard, or we go down to the local high school and we play out on the field sometimes. Sometimes we'll get a snowstorm on Thanksgiving Day or the day before. The kids will go out there and roll up these big giant snowballs. And so when you're out there playing football, you got to try to run around those. That's a little bit of a challenge. Um, and then, of course, we got the birth of Christ. Yes, I know everybody talks that's not his true birthday. I get that, but that's the day that has been chosen. That's the day that we celebrate. At least some of us celebrate the birth of Christ, and others probably celebrate it as just another holiday that they spend a lot of money. So, Christmas coming about. I really want to spend some time with my kids. Another activity that I like to do in the great outdoors around Christmas, when I was working out of state and I'd come home for a week, is I try to take my kids out. Last year I did. We go out and we go sledding. And we have two hills here that we like to sled. One is, I don't know, about 5 minutes from my parents' house when the snow is really good here. And the other one last year, because it wasn't good here in town. We didn't have a lot of snow here. we went a little higher elevation. We went up to this little store at the bottom of a lake, and it's a pretty nice steep incline on the road. The road is usually always groomed and plowed because there's people that live on that road. And we take the little plastic toboggans down the hill, and man, we have some fun doing that. We create a huge bonfire. Um, I like to make sure that the kids are taken care of. So every year I'll bring a big old pot. I'll grab a couple of giant cans of Nellie's chili. Um, I got a little cooker that I take camping and hunting. So I put that on the back of the tailgate of the truck. I fire it up. I get the chili all warmed up, boil some hot dogs, throw the hot dogs in the chili. And then I have another big pot that I always boil water, and I have hot chocolate for the kids. And of course, we got weenie roasting sticks so they can roast hot dogs and marshmallows over the fire pit. And that's what we like to do around the holidays is and I'm hoping if we have a good snow year this year, we'll get to go out and sled a whole lot more. I know 2000, I want to say 2016, we had a really good snow year here. Well, it was 16, 17. It was when we had almost a record breaker here. So we got to go out and go sledding with the kids probably almost every weekend, at least once a week, damn near. We'd take the kids out, and then we'd take the neighbors with us and their kids, and we'd have, I don't know, 20 of us probably up on the hill around the bonfire, and the kids be sledding. And the younger kids, you know, I know at that time was about 3 or 4. So his older brothers and sisters would take him sledding down the hill. I'd take him sledding down the hill. Just really enjoyed the family time and being able to spend time with the kids. It was creating memories. You know, those are things that the kids will never forget. I can still remember times that my parents took us tubing or sledding, or one of our favorite things to do was always go up and get a Christmas tree. And sometimes we go with families from the church. We go up together, and of course, getting a Christmas tree to me always seemed like such a chore because the adults could never agree on a tree. Seemed like it took forever to pick a tree. But you know, I had my best friend and his younger sisters, and we'd get out and we'd either take the toboggans or the inner tubes or whatever, and we'd have fun, you know. And that's what this show's about. The show's about the great outdoors. The show's about what are the things that you guys enjoy doing in the outdoors. What kind of memories have you made? I'm gonna drop the link in an email to Hawk here in a minute. He's going to come on and show us how to compress a bow. We talked about that last week. But I guess this morning I'm just kind of reminiscing a little bit about years gone by and the things that we do, you know, in the wintertime around here. And I'd like to hear some stories on what you guys like to do where you're from with your kids or your grandkids, or what kind of activities do you guys do in the wintertime? I'm trying to think of what else we do. Oh, yeah, runner sleds. Man, runner sleds. I'm gonna have to buy me a couple more of those. Dad used to supply us with the runner sleds, and I would. He taught me how to, you know. And this is memories, and this is the older generation, you know, passing down knowledge to the younger generation. I remember um, my dad teaching me how to take a candle or beeswax and put that on the runners on the sled so that slide through the snow a lot easier and faster on the ice. So they still to this day have a German um, sled that they brought back from Germany when my dad was stationed in Germany. My mom was over there with him, I think, for about 2 years when he was in the army. That my dad still has that sled in the garage hanging up. It's I've used it when I was a kid. It's really fun. Didn't have any steering on it. Um, I spent many hours on that thing as a kid. But runner sleds are a lot of fun. You get to steer them a little bit. Just like toboggans or anything, how do you get speed? With weight. So we'd always stack the kids up on that thing. I'd lay on the bottom, my brother lay on top of me, and then my littlest brother Wes would lay on top of him. We get three deep on that thing and just haul ass down the hills. So, holidays are going to be here real quick. Good time to create memories with family, friends. I'm looking forward to it. I enjoy being out there in the snow with the kids and creating those memories and having that fun. But I remember as a kid doing it with my parents on and off, and it's just something that I'll always remember. So I'm hoping my kids will remember that too. So anyway, that's the start of the show this morning. Memories and wintertime holidays. What do you guys do? Maybe I can read some of it in the chat there. You guys want to put a story in there, or I'll drop the link. You can call in and share that with us. I want to take a look at what Hawk's got going on this morning real quick. So here's the link. I'm just going to put it in the chat, Hawk. I'm not going to email it to you. He was making bowstrings last weekend when we were watching him. And so this week he emailed me, or he said something in the chat about, hey, I brought my my tools home to compress the bow to put the string on. And so I thought it'd be really neat for us to watch how he does this, pay attention to it, because a lot of us, I was gifted a bow this year. I would have no idea without YouTubing it how they ever get the string on the bow, right? It's a good question. So he's willing to show us this morning, teach us this morning. So when he jumps up here, we'll take a look at that. Link in with him in Iowa. He's in Iowa, and we'll take a look and see how that's all done. Sue says, my dad used to take us out to get a tree when I was a kid. It was always so fun. Absolutely. I've always been a real tree guy. Like, I used to make fun of people all the time for having the fake trees. Okay, I admit it, I did. And then I spent 3 Christmases in North Dakota, and Noah and I go down to the local Home Depot or whatnot and buy a real tree. And I just never really cared for them a whole lot. They bring them out of the Midwest, and it just wasn't the same type of trees that I'm used to here in the West. So I didn't really care for them a whole lot. And so last year, I had a brand new house, and I wanted to give Noah. It was just Noah and I wanted to give him. I'm always a bah humbug type of guy. I'll be honest with you. Don't see the link. Okay. I don't see it either, Hawk. Hold on a second. I dropped it again. I don't know why it's not showing up. I'll email it to you, Hawk, if I have to, but it should be showing up. Hold on. Let me reboot this. Just a second. Okay. Let me see if that makes any difference, Hawk. Okay, I dropped it again. I'll see if it shows up on my screen over here. If not, I'll send it to you in an email real quick, Hawk. I don't know why I was messaging in the chat earlier. Technical difficulties. All right, let me send it to you, Hawk. I'll email it to you real quick. Anyway, so I want to do something special for my son last year because, again, most of the time I'm kind of like a bah humbug. I don't like all the commercial aspect of the holidays, especially Christmas. It really turns me off. So last year I decided, you know what? I'm going to give my son the best Christmas that I possibly could. So last year I went out and I broke down and uh, I bought a fake tree, bought it at Walmart, and I'm always an overachiever. So I Yeah, it's not showing up in the chat. Can you shoot me an email real quick, Hawk? Because for some reason you're not popping up on my email list either. For some reason, if you can shoot me an email real quick, I'll send you this link. Hey, Bill, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. God, I love Jackson Hole. You guys are distracting me. I love Jackson Hole, Bill. It's absolutely gorgeous up there, and I spent some time working in Pinedale, Wyoming for a while, and we'd always head up to Jackson Hole to kind of cut loose. Very expensive town to cut loose in. Anyway, I'm an overachiever. I went and bought a really nice Christmas tree last year, and then I had a huge living room. So this house had a living room and a theater room. We always spent time in the theater room, never so much time in the living room. So the living room was just a big open room that I didn't really do much with. So last year, when I bought the Christmas tree, I put the Christmas tree up, and then I went and bought a bunch of littler trees and made like a forest when you walked into the house. I should have took pictures of it. But what I found was last year when I opened my mind to that and opened my heart to the holidays and to Christmas and to try to give Noah the best Christmas I possibly could, it really filled my heart with joy and it changed me last year. And this year is the first year I really think I'm looking forward to Christmas with the kids and the family because last year it just changed me. I had such a good time putting the trees up with Noah. It was just him and I, putting those all up and having a Christmas together. For some reason, I'm not getting any chat on my screen. I see it over on YouTube, but I'm having some major software issues. So anyway, I used to be a real tree guy. Now I'm the fake tree guy. Am I going to go real this year? I don't know. I'm considering it just for the experience. I guess if my parents or my brother wanted a real tree, I would definitely go up there with them and harvest a tree so that they could have one, so that Noah has that experience and we can spend time together. Definitely would do it. But I'll probably, I mean, I spent a couple $100 on this tree, so I'm not even getting the emails, Hawk. Not getting the emails. Maybe that's why I don't have any co-hosts this morning, because I sent them the links this morning. We've been having problems with our emails too. Well, let's see. Let me see if I can do this. Let's see if that'll show up in the chat. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with the holidays. Is I'm looking forward to it. I never really have before, but I am this year. So let's read some of the chat. I'm trying to get Hawkeye up here so he can show us how to compress a bow, and for some reason, I'm not getting his email. I don't think anybody got my emails this morning, and I cannot put anything in the chat for some reason. Got a big scar. This is from Camo Carl. Got a big scar on my lower hip and chin from a runner sled. Hit a tree, and my friend's runner tipped, went through my mouth. Ugh. Stitches inside and out. Red snow everywhere. I was 6. Well, thank you for the graphic description, Carl, of you almost being decapitated on a runner sled. What else do we have here? Yeah, so Bonnie was having troubles with a link too. I don't know what's going on. I put it in the chat. I can't get an email out. Yeah, I might have to jump out and jump back in. I wonder if that'll kill the feed. Yeah, Benjamin, they are definitely Oh, okay. Hawk doesn't have my email. I can't even put the email in. Oh, there we go. Now chat's. So they're seeing me on Facebook. Thank you, Pam. But nobody's seeing it on YouTube for some reason. All right. Here it is, Hawk. Here's the email. It's a pretty easy one to remember, or if you want to just write it down, send me an email and I'll try to send it back to you. It's M as in Michael, P as in Paul, OFF as in Frank 86 at gmail.com. Shoot me an email real quick. I'll shoot you the link. So our neck of the woods says Christmas tree is a symbol of promise of everlasting life, evergreen. That is awesome. What other kinds of stories do you guys want to tell us today? I'd like to hear from you. To add to Carl's story about runner sleds. Man, I was an accident prone kid. My parents, I put them through hell. When I was about, I don't know, I'm going to guess around 10 years old. We went up north to a town that we used to live in. It was around the holidays. I don't know, maybe Thanksgiving. I don't think it was Christmas. It might have been Thanksgiving. Maybe it was Christmas. But anyway, when we lived there, we used to go sledding on a hill called Church Hill. And I'm sure you could imagine why it got its name. There was a church right there on the hill. It was the church's yard, basically. And it was a really steep hill, and it had some whoop-de-doos like that as you're coming down the hill. And we were there with all of our friends. We went night sledding. And we got on a runner sled, and again, we'd stack it three tall, right, and get hauling ass down the hill. So I rode a sled down to the bottom by myself, and it was dark. You couldn't see anything. And my brothers and our friends were at the top of the hill. I come walking up the hill, and it was silent that night. It was kind of cold. You could kind of hear kids in the background hollering and talking and, making a ruckus. And as I was walking back up the hill to get to the top, all I could hear was this sound. I'm like, what's that? And about that time, lights went out. It was my brothers and friends all stacked three tall on this runner sled, and they ran my ass over in the dark. And the story doesn't end there. It hurt pretty good. And we went home. We went back to the valley, and a few nights later, my shoulder was, or my collarbone right here was just bothering me really bad. It hurt so bad, I just couldn't stand it. Mom and Dad took me to the doctor to get x-rays, and that sledding accident actually broke my collarbone. They broke my collarbone, ran my ass completely over. And so I had to wear one of those collarbone braces for, I don't know, a few weeks anyway. But yeah, that was those runner sleds were pretty dangerous. Still are dangerous, but a lot of fun. You can get pretty hurt on those. So nothing is showing up. I'm not getting anything there, Hawkeye. Nothing. Big fat nothing. I'd sure like to hear some more of your guys' stories and see him compress this bow. So let's read Sniper real quick. YouTube made some changes this week. BS complaining from the dislikes, so they don't show the number anymore. Yeah, screw YouTube. That's what I say. I don't know why they be shadow banning us here. This is an outdoor show. So all I'm doing is telling stories. Okay, so let's read Bonnie Phelps here. When I was a teen, we got a rare snow that shut down the highway. My grandmother took my brother and I to a big hill on the highway to slide down on cardboard boxes. It was great. Yeah. You can make a sled out of pretty much anything if you really wanted. Hawkeye, it's you got the numbers wrong. It's 86, not 76 at gmail.com. Gmail.com. 86, not 76 at gmail.com. We have a big heel. It was donated to the mayor in Boise from Simplot. He donated his own personal home for the mayor's mansion before he passed away. And the hill was really big and really grassy, real slick grass. And in the summertime, Bonnie, the kids will actually slide down the mayor's hill in the summertime on cardboard. It's pretty neat to see in the middle of the summer, kids sliding down the hill on a piece of cardboard. And they let them do it. I think they still let them do it to this day. What else do we have? Any other stories you guys want to share real quick? I'll read them off. My YouTube is not showing up on my software at all. Just Facebook. I got Pam and I got Bill watching on Facebook, and I don't have any more than that on my software. So something is definitely not right. Just another day on the job. That's how this thing is running today. So my dad is giving me advice on computers. Are you sure, Dad? I could do an overlay, but that doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything. Let me reboot this one more time. I might just try to bounce out and bounce back in because I'd like to drop the link for you guys so you can call in. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try to bounce out and bounce back in. I guess there's Hawkeye. Let me get him in here first. And that way maybe I can bounce out and bounce back in. I know I've done that before. All right, there we go. I sent him the link. We'll have Hawkeye in here, and then I think I'm going to bounce out and then bounce back in and see if that fixes my problem. Good morning, Travis. Travis is in Ohio. All right. Let's see. Carl says, I have pics of snow in the 70s here in Michigan, taller than the big V plows I need to scan. Yeah, Wyoming. When I was in Wyoming, this is no shit. The winter of 2009, I think it was, we had snow drifts that were between 20 and 30 feet high in Wyoming. Pretty crazy. I can't tell you any snow stories because we don't get snow, but can give you hurricane stories. Want to talk about survival without electricity, and we can survive without electricity for a while. So that's Pam from Facebook. Put that post in. Thanks for the post, Pam. Yeah, hurricanes for Christmas or the holidays does not sound like a fun time to me. How's it going this morning, Hawk?
I'm not doing bad, Mike. How are you?
Well, for some reason, I'm having software glitches this morning. I couldn't email. I couldn't do anything. So I don't know what's going on.
I hear that. Yeah, that's crazy.
So I may bounce out real quick and try to bounce back in and see if that fixes the problem. Because I want to drop the link for everybody so that they can call in and tell stories. So you want to start off by maybe explaining what this is, what you're doing. It looks really cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna make you the big picture.
Yeah, go ahead.
There we go. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so last week you saw me. I was making a string and cables for this Hoyt Ignite. So here's the two cables and the string. You can see that here. You can see I've got a bolt on this. The reason I put a bolt on this is that when the individual that makes your strings, and typically they're all made by hand, they put a number of twists in it so that the string is the exact length. We we know what the length is supposed to be, but when we lay it up, we have to put twists in it to shorten the string. Just like you take a length of rope or a rubber band and you tie it up, you notice how it gets really short. Well, that's exactly what a bowstring does with twists.
Okay.
And it also puts them all together. So you can see that I've got them here. This is my bow press. Now, nobody's going to recognize this bow press because this is I've had this press for probably 20 years. This is an Apple brand bow press, and I've actually designed these arms on it, and then I cut off this top bar so that I have a jack on each side. So this allows me.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. So I've got one on this side and I've got one on this side.
Okay.
Okay. So you can see how this is actually pressing the bow. Now I've got little lengths of Velcro on here. Velcro is very strong. This is just a safety feature. So in case something happens, and that bow would jump out of the press or what have you, at least it stays where it's supposed to.
Wow, I never even thought of that. That could be dangerous.
Then, yeah, I mean, you're putting this string is going to be at 70 pounds of pull, so that is exponentially higher on the limbs. So, that's going to be quite a bit of tension. So what I want to do here is, I know what now there again, I built these bowstrings just from a picture. Mm-hmm. So I basically took a picture. I know what the actual lengths are supposed to be, but there's areas of serving. The serving is this small area that you see up close here. This is a small area you see that actually holds the string together. And these are all called servings. There's end servings, there's loop servings, there's center servings where your arrow's going to go. And each one of these servings has a different diameter so that it fits around the pulleys correctly. It fits around the knock correctly. So you just have to know what you have to know what works for the particular materials that you're using. So that's what I've got here. I know that I need 28. This is called an axle. Okay, this is what it rotates on. I know that this is 28 inches axle to axle. Okay. My yoke, my Y cable is going to go between these points and clear to the back of this particular cam. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but it's this little area here on the cam, and it's going to clip on that. And the reason I had that bolt is, like I said before, it's because of the number of twists. And when I pull this off of here, I want to keep those in the same orientation. Okay. Because that will keep the number of twists based on what I have measured it at on my press at 300 pounds. So I'm going to lay those off to the side. I know that this particular cable is 30 inches. So I've got to really compress this. So I'm basically.
So I got a question for you, Hawk.
Go for it.
So you got your Velcro there for safety reasons in case that bow comes out of your press. So I'm assuming either you yourself or somebody has had that experience happen before where a bow pops out of there.
No.
Okay.
I have never had it happen. I have seen it happen, but I have never had it happen. And it's only the way I designed this press. You can see these limbs are considered past 90. So this original press is 20 years old. 20 years ago, they didn't have these types of bows. they had compound bows, and at the time I was shooting for PSE, and their limbs would basically you would attach the riser to these two pieces here that raise and lower, and then you actually compress the complete limb. Okay, now and that's basically what these round pulleys are for. Now everything is compressed past 90 to make them smaller. It doesn't really increase any of the speed. It just makes the bows smaller, so it's easier to get around. So
well, you go ahead and work on that. I'm going to bounce out real quick and see if I can bounce back in. I'll be right back.
Go for it. Are you back in?
Can you hear me, Hawk?
I can hear you. Yes.
All right, let me see if I can drop the link now in the chat. We'll see if it comes up. There's the link. I know there'll be a few people that'll probably have a couple of questions, but we'll see if it even pops up in the chat. So how
go ahead.
How long of a process is this to put the strings on the bow? Are we talking 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours? How long does it take?
If everything goes correctly. Now, the only thing I don't have with the picture is there's two cables coming from this point, and they basically cross somewhere in here. I don't know which cable is going to be on top of one another. I don't know if it's going to be this cable on top or this cable on top. So that's really going to be the only thing that slows me down. But this shouldn't take more than probably 10 minutes. So one thing I had when the bow was given to me is this is the cable slide. Basically goes right here, and that basically just keep the cables away so that you don't have friction against any of the. You don't have friction, and I don't even know which way this goes yet. I'm going to have to just lay the strings up and then put them into place and see what looks best. So I'm not sure if it goes that way. I'm not sure if it goes that way. I'm guessing it probably goes that way, but we'll go ahead and start it. And I'll be able to tell once I get the strings on, start getting the strings on what's going on here. So let's see what I got here. Okay. Well, I'm going to take both those off. Going to put that back on. And I'll lay that off to the side. Now this is my first cable. Now, from the manufacturer, I know this cable's supposed to be 30 inches. I know that the secondary cable is supposed to be 30 inches. They both have Y yokes on them. Okay, so this is basically my string. You can see the orientation. I'm going to keep that the same orientation. And you just have to kind of think about it in your head, what's going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this around this back post. And then it goes into a little guide there. You can see, I don't know if you can see that here. It goes into a guide. And then I'm going to pull this. Going to keep the orientation of my loops the same. Going to loop the ends.
I'm gonna go grab my bow real quick, Hawk, because it's the bracket that you have there. It's a little bit hard to see where you're putting it, so I'm gonna grab my bow real quick and see if I can show people on my camera kind of where you're where you're putting
Go for
that
it.
string. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, those watching, I'm going to take the second cable off here, keeping all the orientation of the loops correct. I'll set everything off to the side. Now on this side, I've got to come in from behind. I'm going to pick that up, that post up, going to ride in the grooves. Now, this is where I'm not sure how my orientation is supposed to be. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on the post. And then I'm going to kind of, yep. Can you hear me?
I'm gonna swap cameras real quick, and I'm gonna try to show these guys a zoom up picture of where your where the ends of your strings are going, because it's hard to see in this picture. So I'm gonna swap you real quick.
Can you see this? Oh, go ahead.
Let me try real quick, because I find this interesting too. As I'm looking at my bow, I'm seeing kind of where you're putting this stuff. So let me turn this around. I want to show people if they can see it. It might be hard in this camera, but this is a little bit different cam than what he's got. But the end of the bowstring is actually right here. There's the loop. So here's the string. It's looping right around this little notch right here. And then if I flip the cam over, here's it. You can see the loop a little bit better. So there's the loop he's talking about at the end of his bowstring, and then it just goes right around this right here. So that's what he's talking about at the end of the bowstring and his little loops. What I'm noticing on mine, Hawk, is that's the two. Well, I guess, okay, so let me show him this here on my cam here. Here's another loop right here. Let me see. There's the loop. You can see the loop right there. That's actually on the cam itself. So there's got to be one more loop that I'm not seeing. Because this has two strings, right? Am I right about that?
You have two cables and
there it is.
One string.
So both of them. There's a loop. There's a loop there. And there's the other loop there. So there's the two loops right there. So this has two strings on this bow. All right, I'll switch you back, Hawk. I was just trying to show people kind of where you were landing that on the bow, so that they understand, because with your equipment there, it's a little hard to see.
Okay. Now I'm not liking the way that these are. I'm not liking this string slide, the cable slider. I don't like where that is. It doesn't look right to me. So this might have something that is specific to this Hoyt bow. So I'm not even gonna worry about the slider right now. I don't need it.
Hey, Tracy, check your email, Tracy. I just emailed you the link. I emailed it to myself and tried to put it in chat, and it won't work. So I just emailed you the link from my software. So if you could see if you can grab that and throw that in the chat, that'd be great. See if that works. I'm having all kinds of ridiculous problems this morning, but I find this very interesting, because I do not consider myself a bow hunter yet, Hawk. I just I got gifted the bow. I have never even shot it. I don't know anything about it, so I've got a lot to learn. But I am excited to learn from you and
You'll get there.
you and Craig and Appalachian Reaper. I know he said he just put this string on the bow recently, so I think Brock makes his own bow strings too. I think I know he makes his own arrows.
Yeah, I think I've seen some pictures of his. Okay, so you got to remember that I have this is a bow that I've never pulled back. I've never, there are no additional parts to it. I got what I got.
Yeah. So some of this stuff you're having to manufacture yourself.
Well, almost all of it, and I'm I don't know if I don't know if my servings are going to be in the right place, so I may have to make all new. I took it from the picture, and I think I'm pretty close. I mean, I did a lot of research on it, and I know that my lengths are correct. Okay, so I basically just make sure that all of my cables and strings are sitting in the grooves correctly. And then I'm just going to take it and I'm going to release a little bit of pressure on it, and you'll be able to see the string come down.
Mm-hmm. And you obviously you don't want to just open that wide open and let it come crashing down.
Nope. Because we don't know what it's going to do yet.
Franklin, yes, I am definitely related to Trainwreck Travis. For some reason, I'm having a train wreck this morning. Oh, I see Bonnie Phelps YouTube just came up on chat, so something's starting to work. Where is Reaper? I haven't talked to Reaper in a couple of weeks. I've tried to reach out to him. I know he's been busy working, and I think last week he was swinging from a tree. So he was out hunting. So he might be out there trying to fill the freezer. I'm sure when he's done, he'll reach out to me. I'll have a conversation with him and catch up with him, and he'll be back on the show. Now I'm starting to see comments in the chat finally on my software.
Okay, so I've got my top string upside down. And I basically know that because of where this serving is. This serving isn't where my arrow would sit on the rest. So I'm just going to take this. Now there again, I have to remember the orientation of this. So I'm going to hold that in my hand. I know it's in the same orientation as this one. I'll go ahead and pull that out. Keeping track of the orientation. So there's my orientation. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to switch hands. I'm going to pull it tight. I'm going to come over to this side.
Looks like I finally showed up in chat. So.
Oh, you did? Good.
Yeah, the link is there, folks. We'll take calls here in a minute. I know there'll be some good questions, so I'm glad it's finally starting to show up.
And I'll be done here in just a couple of seconds.
If any of you guys have questions for Hawkeye here, you're welcome to call in and ask him questions while he's doing this. It's always fun to learn, and this is something that you don't see every day. That's for sure. I mean, you could YouTube it if you really wanted to, but this is somebody who's actually going step by step and doing it live with us. You're not gonna get that from a record. So yeah, Camo Carl, welcome to my own chat. So Hawkeye, before you shoot this bow, once you get the string on there and it's ready to go, what else do you have to do to this bow before you can actually go out and try that new string out? You have to put sights on it yet? Is there anything else you got to put on it?
The sights are on it. The rest is on it.
Okay.
What I'll have to do, I'll have to put, well, I'll kind of show you. Grab an arrow and I'll grab a couple of these. See if I can find all my parts here. So right now I'm just letting that sit on the bow press. I've still got, I basically got no pressure on the press itself. I'll go ahead and loosen all of the tension on it. Okay, that's got no pressure on it. And you can see that slid right out. So
yeah.
what I really want to do is I just want to look at it. You know, that looks like my picture. Okay. The only problem I have with this is I don't like where these, I don't like where these cables, I mean, I suppose that I'll have to do a little bit more research. These cables look like they're really under a fair amount of pressure. And I don't know if that's what they want, but I'm going to let it be.
We already have a couple of questions coming into the chat.
Go ahead. Ask.
So they say, Hawk, ask Hawk about measuring bow string needed for different bows, lengths, and draws.
Okay, so what you need to do when you have a bow, you need to get with the manufacturer and ask the manufacturer what their recommended, well, not recommended, I mean it's required, what their length of the cables and the bowstring is. Okay. It's not something you can guess at. All of the timing of these cams, all of your draw length is going to be dependent on the length of your strings and your cables. This particular bow is kind of like a really good starter bow, because it would be a really good bow for a woman, because this allows a draw length from, I think, 26 to 31 and a half. And then it also allows you to reduce the poundage to, I think, under 40. So you can go from 40 to 70 or 75.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm doing here, and so each manufacturer, if you have, okay, we'll say a Hoyt Ignite, you can call up Hoyt. They will give you the dimensions of the cables, and they'll give you the dimension, just the length. That was the problem I had. I shot for, you can see my hat. I shot for Elite. Elite will give me mechanical drawings of the string. So it tells you exactly where the servings go, exactly how big the end loops are, that type of thing. Hoyt did not give me that. When I called Hoyt, they gave me the cable lengths, which were 30 inches, and the string length, which was 57.72. And so that's what I had to build. That's what I had to build these strings by. But I had no idea where these are. Okay. I had no idea where the length of this particular serving, that's almost 19 inches, coming off the yoke, the Y cables. I had no idea, the length of this serving, the size of these loops. I basically just had to guess This is the size of the axle. So I know that my loop has to fit over that. I don't want a lot of tension on it. So I made these 3/4 of an inch. I made the string 5/8 of an inch loops. And that just comes with, I've built so many bowstrings. I pretty much know what they are.
Yeah.
I know where the serving goes. I also, let's see, I also, yeah, right here. I also, every time I make a string, I keep the old strings, the ones that are damaged. Now this one was for a bear bow. This was, I don't remember what model it was, but this gives me an idea. I know what size loops I need to make.
Yep.
I know what size serving. Now, if you give me a bow that already has the strings on it, all I have to do is measure it. And that's super simple for me to do. And I'll just measure what's on your bow at the time. This bow had no cables or string on it at all. So I had no idea, this particular serving is very important because this has to extend past the end of the pulley, the cam. Okay. This serving is very important because this has to clear the cam on both sides. Okay.
Yeah.
This back loop is very important because you don't want this to come off when you release the bow.
Yeah. Yeah. That would not be a good deal.
No, it's not. Yeah. So I keep these as reference. So I've got probably, if I have a string like this particular one, the loop isn't, can you see it there? This loop isn't even served on the on bare bows, and you don't have to serve it, but I typically do serve it just because it fits the cam better and it seems to wear a little bit better.
So here's another question for you, Hawkeye. Carl wants to know, what is the final draw and let off on the finished bow?
Well, on this, each bow has its own specific let off. Actually, it's almost by manufacturer. So Hoyt bows have I think it's a 75% let off at 80% draw or 85%. It's got a pretty good back wall on it. This one, I can adjust the weight of the draw. I can also adjust the length of the of my draw length. So here you can see that's I don't know if you can see that. This is how I serve loops, and this was just a sample string that I made at one point, so I don't keep track of. But that you can see that compared to that.
The other one looks frayed. Looks really frayed.
Yes. Well, it looks frayed, but it really isn't. It's just the number of strings that are being used. This has the same number of strings, but it has serving around it. So it keeps those from being damaged. So when you say frayed, at some point it's this 452X it will fray on its own, but it just fuzzes. It doesn't really fray. Okay. So
I got a question that's driving me nuts. Why 2 strings? Why 2 strings on a bow?
What do you mean 2 strings?
Because I noticed that I got 4 loops, so I'm assuming I got 2 strings on my bow. And did you make 2 strings with your bow?
No, you will have 3 strings. You have 2. And they're considered. They're not all. They're strings, but the nomenclature are cables and bowstring. So when you order a part, you order a bowstring, which is this, or you order the cables, which are these. You have 2 cables. You have a cable. in my case, I have 2 cables that have Ys on them. In your case, you have 1 cable that has a Y, and that comes down and attaches to the back of the other cam. And then your other cable does not have a Y, so it attaches to the back of the cam here and to the probably the axle. That's typically where they set it up. So you have 2 cables. Those
Okay.
cables go between the cams, and then you have the bow string.
Okay,
Now,
so why?
Okay, so the way cams work is that as this is being drawn, it's rotating these, and that's actually pulling the limbs together with the cables. Okay, so that's actually pulling the limbs together in an exact geometry.
Okay.
So you have the Ys set up here. Remember earlier on, I told you I can put, I can add twists. I can add twists to the individual ends of the Y, and that will allow me to adjust the cant. I don't know if you can see how I'm doing it here, but it allows me to adjust the cant of the cam. When I look at the cams, these cams need to be totally straight. And this particular cam is canted off to one side. So I'm going to have to move this to adjust. So what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and repress this. I'm going to go ahead and repress this, and I'm going to put a few. This top one is really straight, and you know, when you're building these, you don't have to have super precision equipment. Just give yourself a straight edge.
Mm-hmm.
And if I put a straight edge on this cam, I don't know if you can see it from there, but I can slip my finger in there.
Okay.
That should be totally in line
With the string.
Okay.
All right.
So what I need to do is and I'm wondering if it's this. Let me pull those out and just see if that changes that at all. Oh my God. I mean, that is totally straight with the string. So these cams are exact. So,
okay.
So for some reason, well, that's got to be the right one. I'm going to keep that in there, and I'm not going to worry about it right now. But I'm going to go ahead and pull this out and just show you.
So
okay,
the cables, back to the cables real quick. Does that help keep the bow pressed? So then when you pull the string back, it's not like you're trying to press that whole bow all just with one string. Is that the purpose for the cables? I'm trying to understand how this works.
Really, the cables are there to keep, because in this case, you have split limbs. A lot of cases you have a solid limb. The cables are set up to keep the limbs parallel to each other as you move that cam.
Okay.
Stability. So that you don't. Yeah. Sure. If you want to call it stability. Yeah. These bows are really precise mechanical instruments.
Yeah, I'd like to see the engineering behind one of those bows. I'd like to see
the engineering is just stupid crazy.
Yeah, how they put it into the computer and figure all that stuff out. The engineering behind that bow, it's like you said, it's geometry, it's math, it's a lot of different things.
Well, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this out just to show you the. Yeah.
Don't skip a step there, Hawkeye. I don't want to see that.
There
boat.
is no skipping step. Now you
I
asked
don't want
what
to see
else
it go flying across the
no,
garage.
no. The pressure's already off of it. Okay.
All right.
So the thing you asked me, what else do I need to do? I need to put a D loop here. Okay. And so let me get an arrow.
Folks,
So-
after we get done with Hawkeye here, I'll drop the link again. If you guys want to come in and tell some stories about what you like to do in the wintertime after we're done with Hawkeye here, stick around. I'd love to hear from you guys.
Okay, so you see where my serving is here. This is basically where I'm going to put my D loop, and the D loop.
On mine, there's the D loop right there.
Yes, I do not have D loop material right now. I thought I did, but I will put a D loop on it probably tomorrow. I'll let this sit tonight. And then,
So what is the purpose for the D loop?
the D loop allows you to attach your release and pull the string.
There you go. Okay.
You're
You
not
just taught
pulling
me
on this.
You just taught me something new. You just taught me something
pulling
new
on the
right
D
there.
loop.
Okay.
And the D loop has its own specifications as well. You don't want it too deep, because that just adds a lot of weight to the bowstring. It has to be a certain distance from the knock.
Okay.
I do everything by. Let's see if I can find my equipment here real quick.
While he's doing that, I'll show you guys. I'll swap cameras with him real quick and show you the D loop again, so it's a little bit bigger. So there's the D loop that he's talking about right here. That's the D loop, and right in here is where you stick your arrow.
Okay. Can you see me?
I'm gonna switch cameras again. There you go.
Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and release this. Okay. So I have another press over here that I can't get on camera, but it basically just holds. Let me get this out here out of the way. It basically just holds the bow in a rigid position so I can work on it.
Mm-hmm.
But basically just holds the limbs like this. Okay, so it basically just holds the bow like this. Well, what you do here, and you're an electrician, so you've worked with a level before. So
maybe.
So what I'll do here is I'll put clip on there, baby. Okay, can you see the level there?
Yep.
You can kind of see it. Okay, so what I'll do is clip that to the string, and then I'll clip a second one. This is hard to do with one hand.
With one hand to the arrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me show you. Okay. So there's the second one. And what I want to do is, when this is level, I want this to be just a little high. And what that does is as the arrow flies off the rest, the arrow wants to take the least force of the least point of resistance as being flat. So as the arrow moves along the string, it's going to, because it's higher on this end by, an eighth of a bubble, it will lift this off the rest as it's flying, and that will have no friction. So it will go through that rest in perfect position. Okay, so that's how you basically set that up. And then once I have that, I'll remove this and I'll put a D loop in, because I know exactly where my knock is supposed to be. And that's what I will have for a finished.
Okay, so this is just a question, but do all D loops go below the arrow, or I mean that's every D loop goes below, right?
D loop goes above and below. Your knock fits in between that D. So you have a knot above and a knot below. So when you knock up your arrow, it's going to be in the center of that D loop. Part of it's going to be above. The knock is going to be above. Show me your bow.
Well, I think I remember Brock saying something to the fact that his brother or his cousin or something put this string on, and they might have gotten the D loop.
Let me set this down.
So my D loop is below.
Do you have an arrow?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Do you have do you have? We'll turn it sideways so I can see turn it so that the string is up and down. Okay, and I see your rest. Where's your rest? Oh, you've got the same type of rest. Yes. Just visually, that doesn't look real bad. Your knock will go in between the two knots on your D loop. It'll slide in between those two knots, the top knot and the bottom knot. The knock will fit in between, and then your release will fit on the back side of that. Now, will yours hold out straight, or is it okay? Yeah. I mean, but you don't have any arrows?
No.
Yeah.
I just got that a few weeks ago. Brock sent that to me. I haven't even had a chance to play with it yet. But I'm going to.
That rest will move a lot. So, you've got let me see if I can see it here. Okay, if you look at your bow, you'll see a little opening here. It's just a little threaded area. Okay, that's the point at which your arrow should sit.
Yeah.
So you can move the rest up and down, and you want it as close to that as humanly possible.
Okay.
But I without seeing an arrow on it, I couldn't tell you if it's correct or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it down. I'm gonna take it down to the valley to the professionals and have them help me with all that stuff.
But you can see this. You can see how these limbs. These are. This is actually a very, very light bow. I'm amazed at how light it is. This would be a real fun. This would be a real fun bow to hunt with, actually. I'm thinking though, I'm thinking I need to move my, let me do that off camera here. I'm going to switch cameras. Does anybody have any other questions? I mean,
let me drop the link again. Here's the link, folks. You guys want to come in and personally ask Hawkeye questions about what we just went over. There's the link again. Or if you got a question, you can post it in the chat. I'll ask him real quick. But I do thank you, Hawk, for taking the time out of your Saturday to teach us that, because I know you could have done this a week ago and been out shooting by now. So thanks for sharing that with us.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. It was fun.
Hey, John, how are you? Hey, Matt, how are you guys? So anyway, that was our how to compress a bow and put a string on. Pretty amazing stuff. Final approximate draw weight. That's from Carl.
Well, this one is set for
I don't even know how you'd even tell that.
Well, this one is a 24. It's set up for a 24-inch draw, and the bolt that tightens this down is all the way bottomed out. So that's the full weight. So this is probably, right now, is probably 70 pounds, I'm guessing. 65, 70 pounds, somewhere in there.
It's pretty good.
I'll tell you, you can kill a deer with 45 pounds.
Yep. What about an elk? What about an elk?
Absolutely. You just have to get used to your bow, learn how to shoot it, and yeah, it does not take a shitload of power. It just takes a good shot.
Yeah, I'm gonna
that arrow's gonna go through a deer at 45 pounds.
I'm gonna practice early spring here, and I'm hoping to go on my very first bow hunt for turkey, which typically opens around the 5th or the 10th of April here where I'm at. That's going to be my first bow hunt, and then after that I'm going to try to get a deer and an elk this next year. It'll be my very first time trying, so I'm looking forward to it. Well, I'll take some callers, guys. If you guys want to call in, if you guys have questions that you'd like to ask Hawkeye, you can do so. If you guys want to call in and share one of your winter outdoor sports that you enjoy doing, whether it's snowboarding or skiing or snowmobiling or ice skating or sledding, tubing, going and getting Christmas trees with the family, go ahead and call in. I'd love to hear your guys' stories. We didn't talk much about fishing today. I'm excited. I got all my ice fishing stuff that I've accumulated over the years of fishing in North Dakota. So I will be doing some videos and stuff of ice fishing as soon as the lakes are all froze over here and I can go somewhere to go ice fishing. So I know that's something I enjoy doing in the wintertime. I don't like getting cold, but I like going out and catching fish. When does your season open there in Iowa, Hawkeye? Don't your season, isn't it a little bit later than mine?
No. Bow season has been open since October 11th, I think.
I know we got some late hunts that my dad and I are looking at around here. Since we didn't get to go regular season, we're thinking about maybe doing some late hunts. See if we can't still go get something.
The way it goes here in Iowa is you've got bow season, and then bow season overlaps with all the other seasons. So you've got bow season, then in at the beginning of December, excuse me, at the end of November, you'll have a week of muzzleloader. And then at the first part of December for, I haven't shotgun hunted forever, but you'll have 2 seasons that are from they're a week long. So the 1st to the 7th and the 8th through the 15th, whatever. And
Heck,
then
bird season should be opening about now too for pheasant.
bird
Right?
season is already open.
Yeah.
I had a chance to go out last weekend and I had to work. So, but I may go out tomorrow.
Do you have a dog? You have a dog you take
I
with you?
I do have a dog, but she's not a real. She's a golden retriever, and she's a little bit gun shy. But I'll take her out. You know, she likes to go. She has a tendency to, when we go out and hunt, she tends to just run way ahead of me, a lot further ahead of me than I'd like. So, but if it's a real cold day, the birds are hanging, the birds are sitting really tight, and she does really good in that case. But she's fun to go out with. Like we talked before, hunting isn't always about coming home with an animal.
Exactly.
Sometimes just being out there and walking with the dog when the dog isn't on a leash, and you can just go have a good time. And the dog loves it. Jesus, she gets birdy as hell when I, want to go get birds. You want to go get birds, and she's like, oh shit.
That's kind of like ice fishing for me. It's not always about going out and being able to bring fish home or even catch any fish. Just the experience of being on the ice and setting my tent up and just getting out of the house in the wintertime when you're stuck in the house all the time. It's enjoyable for me to just get out there and be outdoors. So yeah, the experience and the journey sometimes is just as important or even better than actually harvesting anything.
Yeah, if you don't have patience, you shouldn't hunt or fish. I like this little bow. This is a nice little bow. It's a cheap bow. I mean, my the bows that I competed with, they're in the, I think I paid $1,200 for my Elite Answer. Of course, Elite picks up some of that, and then my hunting bow is the Elite Hunter, and it's fairly expensive bow, and it's got all the bells and whistles. I mean, you've seen pictures you've seen me show it to you early on in some of the streams, but I'm liking this. I'm liking this little bow. I mean, it's this would be a good bow this would be a good bow for somebody that's just starting. It doesn't it looks pretty forgiving. I just don't like how those. I'm gonna have to play with that a little bit. I may have to repress this bow because it doesn't look like it wants to go.
I dropped the link, folks, in the chat if anybody wants to jump up here. Carl, Matt, any of you guys want to jump up here real quick? Like I said, we're looking at how to press a bow and put bowstrings on this morning with Hawkeye. But we were talking about at the beginning of the show about outdoor activities in the wintertime. So if you guys ever want to hop up here and talk about any of that or comment on what Hawkeye's doing, jump up here. Old Farmer taught me how to pop the pheasant breast with bare hands, no knife needed, fast flying food on the field. Carl, so one thing that I learned being up here in the woods, there are, and I don't know how many, but there are definitely at least half a dozen, if not a dozen, different breeds of grouse. Here where I live, we have sage grouse, rough grouse, spruce grouse, I believe. And that's one thing that I also learned out in the woods, Carl, was if I was to harvest a grouse, I won't go into the graphic detail on how to get the breast off, but yeah, I also will just take the breast, and it's real quick and easy. It only takes a few seconds really to harvest that. And what I usually have in my pack is always like a Ziploc bag, and I'll harvest the breast and then throw it in the Ziploc bag, and I'll either eat it at camp that night, or I clean it up and I take it home and I throw it in the freezer. So I pretty sure I know what you're talking about there. Does Hawkeye sell them when he is done? That's a question from Bonnie Phelps.
Sell the bow?
I'm assuming that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I mean, I might sell it. I don't. I basically, I had an old bear bow that my son learned on, and we had that sitting around the shop, and this kid came to me with this bow, and he must have dry fired it, because I had to check to make sure that the cams weren't warped and that the limbs didn't have any cracks in them. And he just didn't, he started to learn, and apparently he just didn't want to do it anymore. So that's really the only reason I have it. I was thinking I might give this to my son, but I don't know. My son's been, this is probably as good a bow, or maybe a little bit better than what he's been shooting with, and he's super. I mean, this is one of those bows that'll grow with you. You can get clear down to 40 pounds, and you can, a kid might have a 23-inch draw length, so you can set this bow up to be 40 pounds and 23-inch draw length, and then you can set it clear up to 70 and 30.5-inch draw length. And it's super easy. This, typically you can't do that. Some bows have multiple draw lengths to them, but most of the bows have a specific draw length that is not adjustable. So this one just happens to be adjustable. So I probably would not sell this.
Gotcha.
This might be one that if somebody comes to me and wants me to teach them how to shoot, I'll let them use this one to start with, because it covers everybody.
That's nice. Hey, welcome to the show, Carl. How are you this morning?
I'm pretty good, and I'm in a new location, and I hear my signal is really good lately.
It is strong. It is
That
strong,
sounds good.
Carl.
Hawk, I tell you, when you said a 45-pounder will do it, I remember when compound bows got really popular in the 70s, and I remember throughout its evolution, guys were, I got a 125-pound bow. They were going for these huge draw weights. And, I don't even think the let off was that much back then, but you'd see them struggle just to hold their spot, I've heard so many guys since, including Ted Nugent, say you don't need all that draw weight. You just need this many pounds and something comfortable. And doggone, that bow you're working on has a lot of let off compared to the old bows.
Fred Bear hunted with a 45-pound recurve. That's what made him famous. So I shot with a matter of fact, I found my own glove. This is pretty funny. I used to shoot with fingers. This is bison.
Sweet.
That's, yeah. that glove's got some major. At one time, I had it sewn into a, but there's
Well, now I'm that guy. If you ever need sewing, I've used buffalo fur on the back sides of Arctic mittens, like the U.S. Air Force or Arctic Army issue gloves. I make giant ones with the buffalo fur on the back and wool liners and
nice.
stuff. You ever need stitches, you just talk to me.
These are this company is called, this is Neat, Neet or Neat, I don't remember, but Lancaster Archery sells them. You know, they're if you're shooting a recurve, they're incredible. They're even great for shooting compound. I mean, I used to shoot so accurate, and my I don't know if you can see it, my draw point, that was on my eye tooth. The string was on my nose, and this knuckle was right at the corner of my jaw. So that was my draw right there. And it was exact every time. You pull it back, that's my anchor point. I had 3 anchor points. Most guys shoot with a peep sight. I don't even use a peep sight, because with my release, I've used glove for so long, I have anchor points. If you can have several reference points on your face when you draw that back, you don't need a peep.
Gotcha.
Because your eye's going to be in that same spot.
Yeah, there's a peep set on this too. We lost Carl. He had great signal. I don't know what happened to him. But what Carl was saying about, I remember being in high school, you know, junior, senior in high school, we were big guys on the football field, big tough guys. I remember all my buddies always talking about, oh, I got my bow set up for 90 pounds. I got my bow set up for 92 pounds. You know, there was always some bragging rights, it seemed like, with the buddies in high school about how much they draw back 90 pounds, 92 pounds. And that's probably one thing that kind of kept me out of getting into bow hunting for so many years. It wasn't that I couldn't pull it back. It was just like, it seemed like everybody was always trying to outdo the next person with how many pounds they could pull back. It just kind of turned me off about it. I really just didn't care. But when you say 45 pounds, 50 pounds is all you need to harvest an animal, I mean, almost anybody can do that. So it's weird how that kind of evolved, like you said, Carl.
Yeah, it's a competition. Everything's got to be a competition, it seems like. Sorry, I lost you. I don't even know what happened there.
When I shot for PSE, I was shooting a 90-pound bow, and I had to buy, you know, the Eastman arrows had to have, you know, huge spine. I think they were 33/18s. They were super stiff, and it just was like a poof, poof. I mean, it just made such a different sound. But Jesus, I mean, at 90 pounds, but at 90 pounds, I could give that bow to one of my buddies and tell them to grab the string with a washcloth so they wouldn't hurt their fingers, and none of them could pull it back. And it was just funnier than shit. You know, when you get used to drawing 90 pounds the same direction, it's like nothing. It's like nothing. Now,
it's muscle most people don't use.
It is. It's on your scapula, you know, your scapula and your bicep up, or your tricep up here. That's, everything is muscle, muscle, muscle. And that's why on the off stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I got to get this out, because I've said it before in panels, but I've met.
Oh, he just went out. So let me step up and ask a question then, since Carl canceled himself out. 2 questions. first question is this: about on an average, what is a recurve for the poundage when you draw a recurve back? What's about an average on that? And the second part of the question is, back in the 1800s, before the natives had repeating rifles, they all hunted buffalo with recurves, and obviously that was enough to take buffalo down. Yeah, it might have took a couple arrows, 2-3 arrows. I don't know, but recurves are just as good of a weapon as anything, correct?
Oh my God. Oh, absolutely. And with a recurve, you don't have to worry about that let off. So you can hunt on the fly. So you can follow that animal and then just draw back and release. Follow that animal, draw back and release. Follow that animal, draw back and release. So you can shoot on the run. I've actually been with guys that could hunt pheasant with a bow, and that's the wildest thing in the world. I thought I was really good, but when you see somebody shooting a moving target with a bow, it's just stupid. I mean,
that's called leading the target, correct?
It is.
And the most incredible shot I've ever seen on one of Ted Nugent's Spear of the Wild hunting videos. He was on one mountain range and saw a mountain goat going behind brush. And he estimated from one mountain range to another where that goat was coming out and let that arrow go. He said right when he was doing it, he does not recommend anybody ever try anything like this. And that arrow hit him dead center in the factory from one mountain range to the other. It's the most amazing shot I've ever seen.
I'll have to check that out.
And I know YouTube, it got cut off, but
is that on YouTube?
Oh, I don't know. It's an old 80s video. It's one of his old ones. I had it on VHS.
All right. I'll see if I can't find it real quick.
You know, I don't know why I keep getting knocked out of here, but I was telling him I met Fred Bear when I was a kid. I used to go up to Grayling, Michigan, where he had a museum called the Call of the Wild. Oh man, he did it again. Are you still there?
Yeah, you're here. Your signal's really weak, but you're still with us.
Well, anyways, Fred Bear was the man. He would take time with a kid and show him what. I remember buying little kids' bows and arrows off of him. He was a cool dude. You walked in his museum, and there stood a 13-foot 9-inch tall Kodiak bear, his paw bigger than my whole abdomen, and he shot that with one arrow. You know,
when I was a kid in the 60s, all I wanted was a Fred Bear recurve. That's all I wanted. My dad had one,
green and red,
and you know, he gave me his bow when I was 12 years old. It was 45 pounds, and then he bought a 60-pounder. And
Fred Bear gave you one? Who gave you that?
No, my dad. My dad was an incredible yeoman. I mean,
was it a green bow? Was the bow green?
It had green on it, but it was all wood.
Right, but it had like a green finish.
Wood finish. Yep.
That's a good recurve.
Yeah, I wish I still had it, to be honest with you. I gave it up. I gave up my recurve a lot of years ago to a friend, and he was going to give it back to me, and I just never got it back. But I keep looking. I'd like to get one again. But I'll tell you, Mike, you know, when you get used to, have you pulled your bow back?
Yeah.
Are you able to pull it back real easy or no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have a problem.
Can you pull it back just holding it straight and just pulling it straight back without holding it up in the air? Can you pull it straight back?
I think so. I think I did.
Then
let's add this for the novices. Let's just say this for the novices. Never dry fire a bow. Never ever pull a bow back with no arrow and let it go.
Never. when you're pulling back a bow that doesn't have an arrow in it, you need to have a grip on that, and you don't let it go because your fingers hurt. You have a grip on it. You can put a washcloth or whatever, but you have the biggest grip on it you possibly can, and you can pull it back.
Yes, sir. And Mike, before I lose you, I friended you on Facebook. It's Fraser
Okay.
Carl. Friend
Okay.
me, and in my memories today was a bunch of winter camouflage that I was making in the early 90s, where the deal is you look at the photos and try to spot the people.
There you go. Let me see. I haven't got any friend requests from you.
That's Fraser Carl. I friend requested you, but that was odd. I commented on one of your Liberty Warrior posts on Facebook. Hey, Mike, it's camo. And I got a bullying strike for making that comment on your post.
Oh no,
That is nuts, man. It's nuts what's going on right now. I got an
It's
email.
nuts. Yeah.
I got an email from a Canadian patriot, and she said, I went on your Telegram. I put one post in there, and one of the admins blocked me. I don't have any admins on there. I rarely go on the Telegram group, very rarely. So I'm the only one that can block anybody. I haven't blocked anybody on Telegram, but she got blocked on my own Telegram. So I have no idea what's going on. I really
You know,
don't.
Well, I
there's
did
several-
right over the target.
Well, either that or there's several groups that are called LWN. So maybe she tried to join one of those groups.
Oh,
Maybe. Let me see.
I know when you said that you were getting the stream on Facebook, but not anywhere else, I got on Facebook and looked up, and there's so many LWNs that I was just like, shit. And then I tried Liberty Warrior. Well, there's a bunch of Liberty Warriors.
I'm
it was
easy to
Liberty
find.
Warrior
Mike.
Nation.
It's a red reelect that MFer Ted Nugent signed hat.
Let me see if I can find you, because you're not coming up on my.
It's Fraser Carl, Frazer. Anybody else wants to friend me?
Oh,
come
I
on
see
in.
ya.
I
see.
Just
I see
tell
ya.
me who you are, and you be on there.
There. I just sent you a friend request, I think.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right. Well, I know it's the right one because he's got Jeff Riddle as a friend, so I know that's the right Carl. Well, does anybody else want to come up real quick? The link is still in the chat. You know, it's been a very educational day for me, Hawkeye, and I appreciate it. I try to always have some kind of information that we can put out on this show on Saturdays to try to educate people. I like to tell stories. I like to see videos. I like to see photos too. But we also like to try to, teach people a thing or two that they may or may not know, or just refresh their memory. For me, I learned quite a bit today about bowstrings.
Well,
And bows. And bows.
I mean, it's you need to learn about the piece of equipment that you're working with, and it's and then you learn how to make some of this stuff. I mean, if you get that far and you really enjoy hunting, you may want to try making your own bowstrings. You might make yourself red, white.
All right, you
blue
accepted
bowstring.
my request. You found me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Carl.
I always enjoyed archery. I mean, I just, the hunt is incredible. The competition is incredible. Just being able to take my bow and open up my back door and hit a crow at 40 yards is just I mean, I would just freak people out. There'd be a crow in my backyard, and I'd say, check that mother out. And I just, I just pull back and boom, he's gone, and
Just the other day trying to remember what they called those blunt ended arrows for taking out birds. What the heck were them things called? I can't recall it.
They're called judo points.
Yes, there we go. Thank you. Jeez.
Yep. I got a bunch of judo points. And the nice thing about judo points is they have little wires that come off of the blunt tip. And those wires cause the arrow to stick up in the grass if you miss or if you go through the animal. So the hardest thing to do when you first learn to shoot with a bow is finding your arrows. Mike, when you first shoot your bow, get yourself a little square of get yourself, you probably have a lot of straw bales around.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself a straw bale and shoot at that, and shoot at it from, start from 10 yards away, and then just move back as you go.
Might
Shoot
not
at
be a
10
bad
yards.
idea to get some of that orange marker paint for some of your arrows either.
Get yourself some orange knocks, because the knock is what you're going to see. But your field points that you shoot when you're practicing with your bow, they have a tendency to go right underneath any grass.
Yeah.
And they're even in short grass, they're hard to find sometimes at distance.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to get to practicing here before too long, and I'm looking forward to what spring brings. And next fall, it's going to be 2022 is going to be my year. It's going to be my year of enjoying life, everything that life has to offer, and to experience new things like bow hunting, to grow as a person. Pretty excited about it.
Do you have a basement, Mike?
No, I don't have a basement.
Do you have outbuildings?
My parents do.
You can set up a straw bale in an outbuilding, and if you've got heat in there, you can practice all freaking winter. Get yourself, the most important thing is the placement of that shot. If you can take out it's right underneath that front leg. If you can take out the heart, that deer is not going to run at all. If you can take out both lungs, it's not going to get very far. But the placement, you don't want to hit a deer in the rear hind, because you'll just never find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, old Ted Nugent sits right in his pole barn and shoots all day long.
Well, you saw my basement. I have a 50-yard shot down there.
Pretty cool.
Oh,
pretty
sweet.
cool. Hey,
I did not see
that. Ted Nugent, if you're watching right now, if you want a shooting partner, I'm game. Just let me know. I'll pack up. I'll fly out. We'll shoot in your barn or whatever you got.
He takes people hunting all the time too, Mike. He really does. He's pretty generous.
I'm a big Ted Nugent fan. I'm a big Ted Nugent fan. Not only for his great outdoors, but his music too. Pretty amazing. I seen him in concert once. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen him about 20 times.
Yeah, I've seen him many times as well.
They have something here in Detroit, or used to, called the Whiplash Bash. He used to do these New Year's Eve parties down in Joe Louis or Cobo, and they was just one heck of a party.
Well, have you guys heard of Bo Jackson?
Bo Jackson.
Football player?
Why do I know that name?
Football player?
Football player and baseball player.
Oh yeah, he was when I was in high school, he was probably my favorite player.
Okay, so Bo Jackson comes to our restaurant every year for opening day of pheasant season.
What?
And he comes and he hunts in this area. I've never hunted with him, but he comes for opening day of pheasant season. We've got pictures of him all over the wall.
What?
Yes.
All right, that's it. You
Yeah.
got to tell me when opening day is. I'm gonna have to fly out, come eat at your restaurant, wait for this guy to roll in, just so I can take one of his old photos when he played for the Raiders and have him sign it. Because man, I used to play Super Technibowl, and I'd always play with the Raiders, and I'd always run Bo Jackson every play.
I will now that I have your email, I'll take a picture on my phone of one of the pictures I have on the wall, and I'll send it to you.
Nice. Yeah, Bo Jackson
I
was a
stood right next to
bad mother.
Ted. I stood right next to Ted Nugent in a party store and didn't notice it. The clerk said, "Hey, you know who that was?" Just in time for me to look out and see him climbing into his Bronco. I was so bent out of shape over that.
Dang it,
I've seen him drive his Bronco across the stage. I've seen him ride a buffalo up on the stage and shoot his arrows flaming into targets. And I missed meeting the man.
Wow.
Hey,
wow.
Hey, Camo, I'm old enough that I went to the Stranglehold concert in the early 70s when it came out.
Yeah, that's 1974 Ted Nugent album, right after the Amboy Dukes. I love me some Amboy Dukes. It's the tooth banging claw all the way for me. Pony Express, No Hold Bar. Oh yeah,
Yep.
You know, the original Hibernation. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yep.
I've owned every one of them albums 3 times.
Oh, yeah. Ted's a hell of a guitarist.
Well, gentlemen, I think I'm going to go ahead and land this plane. You want to give us final thoughts? Carl, I'll go with you first, and then I'll jump over to...
Yeah, I want you to show them pictures on Facebook about winter.
About what?
That's my... That's why I wanted you to friend me. The last things I posted was that custom camo. Wintertime.
Right,
there's several to choose from.
Oh, okay. I see a couple. All right, hold on a second. Let me share.
That's homemade custom camouflage. I found an outlet where I was able to get military prototype fabrics back in the late 80s and early 90s. And I used the crap out of it until I ran out of it.
Okay, so this one here, I can see somebody right here. I don't know if it's 1 or 2 people, but I see somebody right here.
Most of the pictures have that's one person. That's me standing on a hill in White Woodland. It was a special fabric made for the 10th Mountain Division.
Okay.
Yeah, there's only one in that picture, but the other ones have multiple people.
Is this somebody here?
You looks got like the cursor here. Right on me, it looks like. Almost ghost-like on that hill, right?
Right here? Yeah.
There was a few different patterns that I had. You know, you're familiar with the Vietnam tiger stripe. That picture right there is of a guy in the white tiger stripe. It's a military Nyko fabric. It was only a prototype. They did not make that for public consumption. I really wished I would have saved some of that stuff. It looks upside down from here.
I don't know where they're at in this one, but that's whatever camo you're using there, that's a pretty good camo because I don't see anybody in that photo.
There's 2 people in that photo.
I don't see them.
Yeah, the first one you showed is really the only one that shows up because the suit was bright against the background. Get them a little used, a little bit dingy, and they work like magic. I've had people, animals, snow.
Somebody's standing right here in this tree.
I think Carl got knocked off.
Oh, did he? All right.
I think so.
Looks like somebody's standing right there in the tree to me. Anyway, that's it's pretty neat stuff. I like camo. I love the camo. So, final thought there, Mr. Hawkeye.
Well, final thoughts is if you guys get a hankering to get a bow and start shooting it, you won't find a more fun hobby on the planet. And then you learn how to hunt, and it's something that keeps your body trimmed up, and not trimmed up, but keeps you strong, and it's a fun ass thing to do. So, and if you have any questions, my email was in the chat early on. Feel free to send me an email. I'll answer any questions you got.
All right.
And I enjoyed doing it today, Mike. Thank you
Yeah,
for
me
having
too,
me
man.
on.
Well, thanks for sharing with us. Like I said, I think it's fun to increase our knowledge by things. So we always try to share something on here that everybody can take home with them. I know I learn something every time we're on this show, and I hope that we, give people things to think about or learn as well. So anyway, my final thought is this: the holidays are coming up. And all I'm going to say is, with the way the world is today, try to spend as much time with your family and friends that you can, and try to make those memories that will last an entire lifetime. That's my final thought for today. Thanks for joining us, Hawkeye. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Carl, for calling in. Thank you, everybody, for watching today. Until next time, we'll catch you right back here next Saturday. Thank you, guys. See ya.
See you guys.